Welcome to Bunnyfish Crafts. I'm your host Heather, known as Bunnyfish on Ravelry, Instagram, and YouTube. Today is Friday, the 27th of January, 2017. And this is episode 209, Excuses. Grab some sticks and string and come sit with me. Have you been? It's been a really long time. I'm sorry. And now you're going to be inundated with episodes because I have been recording in January. I have. Not in the past week and a half or something like that, but I have been recording. I just haven't been editing and uploading because life. The last weekend and the weekend before, I had people in for the weekend, so I just was busy entertaining all weekend, which is when I get a lot of random things done. I've been doing a lot of work. We had some investors come in, so, even though we keep the place clean, there's always that little bit extra that could be done, so there was a lot of that going on. Just life in general. I'm starting to get a cold, which is really fun because the reason why I didn't record last week was because I lost my voice on Saturday. I went to the Red Wings game. Oh my gosh, you guys, it was so good. It was so amazing. I thought it was going to be kind of terrible. I'm sorry if you're not in sports, but just let me geek out for like 30 seconds. I thought it could possibly be terrible because the opposing team scored a goal in the first 30 seconds. It was like 33 seconds into the game and they had a goal. And I was like, what is going on? But then by the end of the first period, it was 0-2. And then by the end of the second period, it was 3-3. And then we won the game 6-3. So it was so good. It was such a good game. And I am not a sports person except for hockey. I think I would also be a soccer person because I've watched my friends play soccer competitively and I'm pretty into that. But when I'm into a sport, I'm the kind of fan who is like, what are you doing? Ah! And yells at the players and yells at the referees. And I don't yell at other fans, though, because that's rude. And the players and referees can't even hear me, so it doesn't really matter. I just feel better about it. Anyway, it was such a good game, and I had no voice. Zero voice. Like, this doesn't sound very pretty. I really couldn't even talk. The kids were like, oh, you can't talk. I guess you're not gonna be able to tell us what to do. My mom voice still worked the entire time though. So I was still able to go to work and mom voice the dogs and come home and mom voice the kids. No worries there. Just my normal talking voice was gone. My hair is super spectacular today. I kind of look like a rooster a little. I'm going with it. I can't. Today I can't because yesterday at work I was like, I think I'm going to be sick tomorrow. And instead of like doing things on my lunch break, I just laid on the couch and just laid there, which is not me at all. And yeah, so today I'm feeling sick. Got a cold going on, woke up with some grossness. It was not attractive. But anyway, I have excuses for a lot of things. So I'm going to try to stop making them, but I probably still will because it makes me feel better to just say these things. Sorry, guys. I don't really remember what I talked about on my last episode because it was so long ago. So I'm going off of my show notes from last time and the previous episode because I finally pushed through episode 207 and 208 is uploading right now. So by the time this is out, obviously that will have been up. But I'm hoping that all three of those will come out this weekend. We'll see. Depends on how long this episode is and how long it takes to edit and all the things. So I don't think I have an administrative stuff. If I do, someone remind me in the group, which I'll be going over to look at today after I record. But I do have a finished object. Okay, we're going to call it finished. This is basically finished. I have half of a sock to bind off. I finished the knitting of it this morning, and I was binding off, and the kids only have a half day today, so if I want to get anything accomplished today, without children being all up in my business, I need to do it first thing in the morning. So I was like, well, I could bind off that other half a sock or I could record. So I'm recording. And these are my mom's Christmas socks, and I will be seeing her on Sunday, so all the ends will be woven in as soon as I finish binding off, basically. So here they are. Last week, this sock was up to this portion right here. I was ready to work on the ribbing. But this sock was all the way down here. So not last week, 2.5 weeks ago, whatever, a week and a half ago, I don't even remember what the date was. A long time ago, when I showed you what I was working on, this was down here. So I knit all of that and the leg, and these socks come to right above my knee. So they should be, you know, they should go over her knee also, because her feet are shorter, but her legs are probably a little longer because she's like an inch taller than me. So it should be, I mean, they should fit her about the same. The yarn is Premier Serenity sock in charcoal for the feet and the legs. Side tangent, before I forget, I really, really like doing long socks as tube socks because I don't know why, but the gray ones that I knit, the Peyton's Croy rainbowy gray socks, I can't remember the colorway name. Those are tube socks, and I really, really enjoy wearing them a lot. More than I enjoy wearing my other knee socks that have heels in them. I like wearing my shorter socks with heels in them, though. I don't know what that is, but for the foreseeable future, if I'm going to be making myself some really long socks, they're probably just going to be tubes instead of having a heel put in. Don't know why, just is what it is. Anyway, these ones don't have a heel. That's why I'm saying it. And then this stripy yarn that I used is Fishnets in the 80/20, and the colorway is Zombie Stripe. So there are 10 stripes, and they go from dark gray to light gray and really chartreusey green up to a lesser version of that chartreusey green, more like a chartreusey yellow. So they're really, really bright. The pattern that I used is the Child Tube Sock recipe with the second version of graduated ribbing. And as I was making these tube socks, because, you know, your ankle is, maybe not everybody's, maybe not if you broke your ankle, my ankle is narrower than the top of my calves, and my knee is the widest portion of these socks. I did increases throughout the sock, but the way that I did them is I didn't do any increases here. But when I got to this first set of a new ribbing thing, instead of just, you know, knitting two, purling two more in that ribbing repeat, I would knit one, knit front and back, purl one. So that's my knit two, purl two, but from 3 stitches instead of 4 stitches. So every time I changed the ribbing up, I added 4 stitches to the sock until I got to this gray section, which starts pretty much right below my knee. And there's a lot of circumference in my knee versus the rest of my leg. Especially, you know, I sit with my legs up all the time right now. There, instead of doing just because the final ribbing section where it becomes all 2x2 rib, is actually still in this stripy section. So when I got to the final gray section, I did a yarn over in between each of the knit stitches. So it was knit 1, yarn over, knit 1, purl 2 all the way around. And then on the next round, I knit through the back loop on that yarn over. So I made it into a 3x2 ribbing, and this is what I've been knitting on, and it has been sucking my soul out, because 3x2 rib in just gray, I'm not one of those people who finds self-striping socks to be super addictive, I'm not like, oh, just one more stripe. Oh, just one more stripe. But this was way more fun than this. This sucked my soul out. I was like, why? Especially because I went from this up here is 72 stitches. It's a 60 stitch foot, and then it increased throughout here up to 72 stitches right here, and then up to 90 stitches right here. So just, it was soul draining. But now they're finished, or they will be shortly after, while this is getting into the editing software, they will be finished. And then I will work on other things, and I will feel so much better about knitting because I won't be knitting on this. Also, it's cumbersome to knit on this, like this whole long tube. So the way that I was working on it is I would roll up the knitting into itself so that it would be just, this little portion hanging off of the needle instead of feet of knitting hanging off of the needles. So yeah, finished object. And I'm really, really pleased that these are finished. I think they're beautiful. I love these. And if my mom doesn't love them, I will happily take them back from her and wear them all the time because the finished object is awesome. I think they're super cool. They're really comfortable. They're good length. So yeah, I'll be telling her if she doesn't want them, she can give them back. But the knitting of them was not super duper fun. Works in progress though. I'm going to talk about one really quick that I don't actually know where it is right this minute. Somewhere on or around my bed, I'm sure, because I knit. The last place that I was knitting on it was in my bed, which is where I knit a lot. I'd like to sit on my bed now that I have a bed. Oh my gosh, you guys don't even know. I have a bed, like an actual bed. My best friend got a new mattress for herself, and she gave me her old one. So I have now set up my my headboard, footboard, bed frame. Yes, set up my bed frame. The mattress is on there. I can sit on my bed and just hang out. My bed is my happy place. It has been for as long as I can remember. That's where I like to hang out and like do my thing because it's my own space. And if I don't want anyone in my bed, they don't get to be in my bed. The dogs don't get to sleep on my bed if I don't want them to. Although I do have a special blanket that's just for them to lay on because my dogs are, they're kind of smelly-ish. Not like unclean. It's just like the way that they smell is a lot. So, so they sleep on their own blanket. But, when I don't want them to be on there because they're annoying me, I can kick them out. And even though I share a room with the girls, the bed is mine and they can't be on it unless I say they can be on it, which is really nice. That's totally a random tangent. Why was I going there? Oh, because my bias stripe blanket, it's getting pretty long, and if I find it before editing, I'll put in a picture. I, again, don't want a whole huge strip getting in my way while I'm knitting, so I kind of have it rolled up in kind of like a sushi roll sort of thing. And I have a pin through it to keep it short in my lap so it's not cumbersome to turn and work and things like that. And I am probably 3 or 4 days behind where I would like to be on that because I've been doing 5 ridges a day. But I'm not stressing over being a few days behind because, doing 20 ridges isn't going to take me that long if I'm 4 days behind. I don't even know how far behind I am, but I'll probably do 20 ridges today when I find it. Speaking of being behind on blankets, I'm also, let's see, so today's the 27th. This stripe is supposed to be the 22nd. So I'm on the stripe for the 23rd. So I'm a few days behind, but again, not stressing over it because this isn't going to take me a whole year to finish. I don't think. this is where I am on my granny stripe blanket, and I will bring it across the screen. So as you can see, I have done the purple section and the blue section, and now I am starting the green section. And the colors do not go all the way across in a lot of cases. See right here, there's a change. Here's another change, especially in the first rows of colors where I'm like, oh, I have all of these scraps. Let's use up those first. The problem that I'm running into with this blanket is that I have green scraps and I have blue scraps, but I want them to go into my mitered square blanket first. So then I'm like, well, I should probably just knit them into my miter blanket so that I know I have enough for a square, and then put the leftovers into this blanket. Like, it's not a really big hassle or anything. It just means that, you know, I have to spend that, what is it, half hour, 40 minutes to make a square. I don't even know, because I don't sit down and just make a square. That would be too easy. So I have to make that square before I can use the yarn in this blanket right now, which is why I'm behind, but it's not a big deal. Again, I'm not that worried. Like, I'm not that strict about making sure I get 31 stripes in 31 days. It'll be finished as it's finished, as long as I'm working on it diligently, which I am, because by working on my mitered square blanket, I'm working on this, kind of. It all makes sense in my head. I'm going to jump out of order here and just show you my mitered square blanket, because why not? I'm up to 84 squares in this center portion. So this is how big it's looking. And this right here is a square for a new section, because I wanted to see if I was going to have enough of this yarn to use in my granny stripe blanket, but I didn't like this particular yarn next to any of the open spaces. So I was like, well, I'm going to be making other panels, so I'll just start a new panel. It's not a big deal. So I have individual pictures of the squares that I've added. So it's getting pretty big comparatively. Pretty exciting. I also worked on a very little bit my talk sock, which is right here. And, you know, that's like 1.5 inches. I finished the next stockinette section, and I'm back in the garter stitch section. Almost halfway through the garter stitch section. So they're coming along. I think that this is probably going to be my new travel project now that I've finished my mom's socks, because it's really portable, it's really easy to carry around, and the pattern is pretty easy. Not because it's my pattern, but just because it's a pretty easy pattern. So I don't need to like reference things all the time with it. Just do a little bit of counting, and for most of it I can use a stitch marker to do the counting for me. So that's where I'm at this. The yarn is Science Monkey Mercantile Faraday sock in the Northern Bogs colorway, and I super love it. It's so pretty. It's such a good colorway. And I'd like to finish up this sock pretty quickly so that I can use this in my granny stripe blanket. Not that I won't be making another green strip later, but I want to use this yarn now. So I need to finish up the sock so I can do that. I cast on something, well, I'll talk about this first. So my my giant mitered square blanket, the chunky one. Oh, here, look, I can show you. So this is how I roll up my knitting, and I'm doing the same thing with my bias one. So I roll it up, and then in this one I have like a stitch holder safety pin sort of thing, and it just holds it all together so that this strip doesn't go flopping all over the place as I'm trying to knit. But I have done a fair amount of work since the last time you saw it. So this one, I may have only shown you, no, I showed you the first 2 squares. This green is Green Bay. The pink is Phoenix Azalea. I don't know what the blue is. Sorry, the dark blue. I'll get that to you later. This light blue is Charlotte Blue. And I don't have the ball band for the tweed, so I don't know the tweed one off the top of my head, but I will try to put it in show notes so you can know what it is. So I have 4 squares. It's growing slowly, but I haven't worked on it really in about 2 weeks because this is Hometown USA by Lion Brand, and it's the same mitered square that I use for all of my mitered squares. 35 total stitch count, center double decrease. But I'm using US size 11 needles for that, and I only have 1 pair of size 11 needles, and it is the circular, and I cast on probably 2 weeks ago a pair of fingerless mitts for Mary Lee. And then I did like 2 rounds, and then I haven't touched it. So this is actually probably going to be my newest travel knitting. And then the sock, because I would like to have these needles back so I can work on this blanket while it's still cold out and I still want to work on blankets, because I don't know how that's going to work once it gets warm out. And I'm like, no, I don't want a blanket in my lap. But right now it's cold and I'm like, ooh, blankets. So this is Hometown USA in the black colorway. I don't remember what the specific black is. It'll be in show notes or on my project page or something. So mitts that I am kind of winging. Again, the same stitch count as those mitts that I made for the teachers, which is Side Cable Mitts by Mirkwood Elf. And this is the Oakland Black colorway. So yeah, I'm using that same stitch count, but instead of doing a cable, I am doing like a garter stitch and then stockinette stitch bands, because I made her that hat that was stockinette and reverse stockinette, and I'm not doing reverse stockinette bands on these mitts because then I would actually have to purl every round, and that's not happening. So garter stitch instead. Looks similar. But I want to get those done, 1, so she can use them, and 2, so I can have my needles back. I think that's pretty much all that I've really been working on. I did start a baby blanket, which is somewhere in my room. Okay, so the room, because I got a new bed, stuff got moved around a lot. And also, let's just go into reading. I finished reading Daughter of the Forest. I really want to pick up the 2nd book now, but I'm pausing. I'm holding myself back because I feel like I'll get it and then I'll be like, oh, this isn't really what I want to read. So I finished that. I finished reading the graphic novel Fruits Basket, or the manga, whatever, number 3, manga, Fruits Basket number 3. I can't remember if I had finished reading Anna Burning the last time I talked to you or not, but I have finished that. And then I read, I don't remember what the title is because it's really long, the magical Japanese art of tidying, something like that. Basically, it's by Marie Kondo, and she does the KonMari method. So I read that, and I've been going through that, basically. Starting, obviously, in my room with my things, because one of the things that she says in the book is, don't mess with other people's things. It's rude, and they will eventually do it on their own. So, starting in my room, which means things have been moved around and stuff. And I don't know where everything is right this second. So, I'll figure that out with the baby blanket later. And the other cast-ons that I had, like the socks and stuff, I just haven't worked on them. Not enough to show you. Like maybe a few rounds. The cowl, I know I'd worked on a little, but I'll just show you when I make some actual progress. Oh, back to the cowl. I did not take knitting with me into the game because they have new regulations on what you could bring into the game. Like your purse couldn't be bigger than 6x9, or it had to be clear plastic see-through stuff. And I didn't want to risk my knitting being taken away, so I was like, I'll only take this book in. So I had started reading the KonMari book on the drive to the Joe Louis Arena. And I took that in and I read like 60 pages between the drive and during intermissions in the game and stuff like that. So I didn't actually knit there. So I did a little bit of knitting in the car, but mostly reading. And then I've started reading how to, this word right here. I looked up the pronunciation, but then I didn't write it down. So I don't remember how to say it. It's the Nordic Secrets to a Happy Life. And I got this on the 24th from the library, which is the day it went into circulation. That's nuts. I've never gotten a book the day it went into circulation. Like whenever I'm like, oh, there's a book coming out that I want to put on hold, I'm always like the fifth or sixth person on the list, which is fine. I can wait for books. But someone on my Instagram feed was reading a book about this, and I was like, what is that? So I Googled it, and I was like, oh, that sounds really cool. I wonder if my library has any books on it. And they had 3. So I placed all 3 of them on hold, including this one, which was on order. So when it came in, it popped up, and I picked it up that day because I was at the library anyway. So that was pretty exciting. I'm enjoying it, but there are 3 chapters that are basically recipes. So, which is fine, except that I am not in a cooking type place in my life. I'm just not. Like, some of these recipes sound good and I might make them, but I am more interested in the actual reading parts of this book. So this is the book, and this section in the middle is recipes. There are snacky things, and then meal type things, and then drink recipes, which is cool, which is fine, but it's not what I'm looking for in the book right now. I'm not opposed to it, and I have enjoyed looking at the recipes and looking through the pictures and getting some ideas, and there are probably 2 or 3 recipes in here that I will take out for future use. But overall, I'm really, really enjoying reading this book because it's a lot about taking care of yourself and being self-sufficient and things like that I'm usually really good at, but for some reason in the wintertime, I get really, really bad at taking care of myself. It's probably a multitude of things, like seasonal depression sort of thing, plus kids get sick, plus I get sick. I feel like in wintertime, I really read a lot more nonfiction sort of things, like learning what this mysterious H word is, because I've never heard it before or come across it before. And now I'm going to be theoretically reading 3 books about it. Definitely one. I'm almost finished with this one. I'm on page 143 of 205, and I just started looking through like the drinks section, so that's not actually going to be actual real reading. So I'll probably finish this today, which is cool because I'm planning on taking the kids to the library after school since it's a half day. And yeah, I'm enjoying it. I recommend it if you are interested in that sort of thing. It's a lot of it is a reminder to slow down and appreciate things, and how to slow down and appreciate things, or like why the Nordic culture seems so chill and happy and stuff all the time, even though they have 8 months of winter, that sort of thing. So I'm really appreciating what I'm reading. And I'm really looking forward to reading the other 2 books that the library has on the subject when they come in. It's a good read. I recommend it. And also, I was amused because I just read the KonMari book, and they reference this author. She references that book in the first chapter. And I was like, I guess it's all like my brain is all in similar headspace right now. Interesting. Anyway, I don't really think that I have anything else to offer to you today. I will really try to get back to a regular recording schedule, being better on the Ravelry groups. I'm trying. But, I feel a little in upheaval. I said that last time I recorded or the time before. I'm just trying to get into a normal. I haven't found my new normal yet. So I'll get there. I hope you made something fantastic with your sticks and string, and I will see you hopefully next week. Bye.